So today, we're diving into Chris Bailey's incredible book, Hyperfocus. And let's be real, it tackles a problem every single one of us deals with, trying to get meaningful stuff done when our world is practically an engine built for distraction.
You know that feeling, right? Your day is just a blur of activity. You're answering emails, you're in meetings, you're bouncing between a dozen different tasks. But when you finally get to the end of the day, you just kind of slump down and think, what did I actually get done today?
Well, according to Bailey, there's a name for this state, and it's a real trap. He calls it autopilot mode. It's basically when we're just going through the motions, doing things without really thinking, without any real intention behind our actions.
And this whole autopilot thing, it's a much bigger deal than it sounds, because when we're in that mode, we are wasting the single most important, most limited resource we have. And no, it's not time, and it's not money.
Okay, get ready for this number because it's a big one. Some research suggests that up to 40% of everything we do every single day is just pure habit, stuff we do on autopilot without even a flicker of conscious thought. That is almost half of our waking lives spent not being fully present.
Now look, autopilot helps us function, for sure. It lets us get through the day, but it comes with this massive hidden cost. As Bailey says right here, the real currency of our lives, the thing that determines what we accomplish, isn't our time, it's our attention. And that is a resource we have very, very little of.
So, if attention is the key, how do we protect it? Well, first we have to understand where all the mental work actually gets done. Bailey has a great name for this. He calls it our attentional space.
So what is it? Simply put, your attentional space is whatever you are consciously aware of in this exact moment. It's like a mental workbench. It's where you have your thoughts, where you make decisions, and where you wrestle with tough problems.
And this diagram from the book, it nails the concept perfectly. Just think of your attentional space as a container. There's only so much you can cram in there at one time before it gets totally overloaded and things start to spill out. And this comparison just makes it crystal clear. So look on the left. Simple habits like walking or drinking coffee, they barely take up any room. But on the right, a single, tough, complex task can take up your entire attentional space. And that, right there, is why multitasking on important stuff is a complete myth. Your workbench just isn't big enough.
And you know, every time we try to cheat and switch between those big tasks, we pay a hidden penalty. It's a concept called attention residue. Basically, little bits of the last thing you were working on are still floating around in your mental workspace, cluttering it up and making it impossible to give the new task your full, undivided focus.
And the cost of this is staggering. One study found that this constant task switching can make our work take up to 50% longer to finish. 50%! Just think about how much wasted time that adds up to over a single week or a month. It's huge.
Okay, so that's the problem. We're distracted, we're on autopilot, and we're leaving tons of productivity on the table. So what's the fix? Well, Bailey proposes this brilliant two-part system, and the first mode is exactly what it sounds like: hyperfocus.
Hyperfocus is the complete opposite of multitasking. It is the deliberate act of filling your entire mental workbench with one single, important task and then basically locking the door to everything else.
But what exactly should you hyperfocus on? This grid is your map. You want to aim for that top right corner, purposeful work. These are the things that are not just super productive, but they're also interesting and engaging to you. That's the magic quadrant. That's where deep, satisfying work happens.
And the way to get into hyperfocus, it's surprisingly simple, but it has to be deliberate. First, you pick that one important thing. Second, and this is key, you have to be absolutely ruthless about getting rid of distractions. Close the browser tabs, silence your phone, maybe even put it in another room. And finally, you just dive in and give that one task everything you've got. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because hyperfocus is only half of the equation. The second mode is something Bailey calls scatterfocus, and it's pretty much the exact opposite. Scatterfocus is what happens when you intentionally, purposefully let your mind wander. Now this is not just zoning out in front of the TV. It's a deliberate, creative mode where your brain gets to make new connections, plan for the future, and, this is crucial, recharge for the next round of deep work.
So what does this actually look like? Well, it's usually simple, low-pressure stuff. Taking a walk in the park, putting on a familiar playlist, doodling in a notebook, or just, sitting and letting your thoughts go wherever they want. The whole point is to not be focused on anything demanding.
And if you're wondering why this is so important, check this out. When we're in hyperfocus, we're in execution mode. We're doing the thing. But it's in scatter focus that we do our best planning, our best big picture thinking. In fact, our brain is 14 times more likely to think about the future in this mode. That's where the breakthroughs happen.
So you see, these two modes aren't enemies. They're the perfect partners. Hyperfocus is for execution and doing. Scatter focus is for creativity and connecting ideas. One gets the work done right now, and the other recharges you and sets you up for future success. You absolutely need both.
So, the biggest takeaway from all of this is pretty profound. Real, sustainable productivity in this crazy, distracted world isn't about grinding harder or trying to focus 24/7. That's a recipe for burnout. The real secret is mastering the rhythm, the dance between intense, deep work and intentional, restorative rest. So as we finish up here, I'm going to leave you with a question to really think about. Just for today, take a look at your life and your work. Which mode does your brain really need more of? Is it more of that focused, deep work, or is it giving yourself permission to step back, to rest, and to let your mind wander and connect the dots? The answer might just change everything for you.